Добрий день, шановна.
Good morning to all members of the audience. Thank you for joining our press conference, and I hope that it will be interesting. I'm Maxine Burdavids, and I'm an expert in the self-governance services, and I work for the USAID project Dobre in Ukraine. The topic of our today's conference is development of the roads and road infrastructure in Ukraine. As our service held in the local communities suggest the biggest concern for local residents is how to get from point A to point B, how to get to the center of their local community. And for the discussion, we have invited representatives of the central government bodies, representatives of self-governance bodies, representatives of the local communities, and we are going to present the manual on the development of roads infrastructure, local roads infrastructure, and we encourage you to ask questions in course of today's broadcast. And the floor goes to Mr. Barry Reid, leader of the USAID program.
To this aspect of road infrastructure development in Ukraine. As we know, the decentralization process has provided more authority and decision-making down to the Gramada level, and that includes services, particularly services like roads. And so the Dobre approach is to work with communities to help them have a comprehensive approach to how to improve a service. This includes consulting with key stakeholders and citizens about that service, thinking about what it is you want that service to do, then designing and planning what kind of improvements you can make based on what you know about the service now and what you want the service to be just in a few years. And then it's about implementing that strategy, going through the steps and then implementing it. Part of that implementation is maintenance, for example. In this example, building a road is not enough. You also have to build in how will you maintain that road so you don't have to rebuild it over and over. Then our process also looks at how do you communicate what you're doing with that service and how that service is doing to your community. And then you evaluate how you've done, so that you can have a continuous cycle of improvement in quality. And then you can start over again based on where you are in a few years. Then you can look at your service again and say, what do we need to do? So, but that takes a change in everybody's thinking about the service, not just of Ramada, but also at the oblast level, at the national level. It does take different types of thinking. So, you know, I'm excited to have this discussion, bring together all these different experts to talk about what is going on, what is the experience, and where do we go in the future. So it's exciting. Thank everybody for joining us. And, you know, I hope you learned something, ask a lot of questions. So thank you very much.
Дякую, Беррі, за привітання.
Thank you, Barry, for this introduction. I hope that you will stay with us up to the very end of our press conference. And now I am happy to give the floor to Ms. Natalia Forsuk, Deputy Minister of Infrastructure of Ukraine. She will make an introduction about the state policy as to the roads development in Ukraine. Good morning, dear colleagues. First of all, I would like to thank to the organizers who invited me to participate in this important discussion, because I think that the prospects for the road infrastructure development is of primarily importance in Ukraine. At the very beginning, I would like to focus and point out to the aspects of the decentralization reform which involves different aspects of other policies. As far as I can see, the presentation is already on the screen, so will you please show the first slide? We have made this presentation in order to explain the statistical data and figures. The local roads amount to 2/3 of the common roads in Ukraine, but despite this very fact that they amount to 2/3 of the entire length of the roads, nevertheless, the condition of those roads is extremely poor, and that's why the special fund for support of the local roads was established, and since 2018 it heavily funds the reconstruction. You can see from this slide that 40% of the local roads had not been properly repaired or maintained till 2018, and in average, we have up to 4,000 local roads within each oblast, within each region of Ukraine. And back in 2013, only 173 kilometers in each of local roads in each region had been being repaired, and since 2017 and especially 2018, 2019, you can see a sharp increase in the proportion of local roads at the level of the regions which had been maintained annually. But nevertheless, this amounts to only 55% of those roads. This proves how this road infrastructure reform and project is important for the decentralization, because all those roads is of primarily importance for the functioning of local communities. And you can see that within the years of 2017 till 2020, the more roads were repaired than for the previous 8 years. Well, so what we do to implement this road infrastructure maintenance reform, together with our partners with the European Bank for Reconstruction Development and European Investments Bank, we allowed to involve the International Financial Organization funds for the reconstruction and development of local roads because it's quite clear that it requires capital investment and a big portion and big projects were started with the involvement of all those funds. The current legislation allows to attract these IFOs funds, but with some restrictions. Unfortunately, many local budgets are unable to pay off their loans because of insufficient revenues to local budgets. Then local road funds amount to only 10%. This is a subvention which comes from the national budget. So there is definitely lack of capital investment funds. That's why the ministry suggested amendments to the law of Ukraine about funding of the road construction at the local level, and suggested also amendments to the budget code related to loans for the roads construction of communal property and local property. This will allow to transfer the 10% subvention funds which local communities get from the national budget for the settlement of loans, for the repayment of loans, which would be taken for road construction. Now, up to 50% of the loans, including the body of the credit and interest rate, will be, and interest will be covered by the money that come from subventions. And now we work on the pilot projects together with the state oblast administrations, and we hope that Kherson, for example, oblast administration this year will be able to attract the loan of EBRD to finance its road construction. And I would like also briefly describe other projects which are important for decentralization implementation. This is the road overhaul and possibility to involve the consultants, experts and services, and also capital, I underscore capital construction of the new roads allowed to involve coverage of special permit fees, etc. Another novelty is about the way, the possibility to use construction materials waste for road construction. This will considerably decrease the price and the budget expenses of for the road construction. And another important novelty in legislation deals with in the document, which is not passed yet, but it is fully drafted, that local authorities will be able to carry out the weight control, the weight checks on the roads. That is, they would be able to weight the lorries, the trucks that pass through their local roads and ruin them, and then perhaps take some advanced measures. So this is our novelty. We will give the right to local authorities to install weighing points, and then the information from these points will go, checkpoints will go to the central informational point, and thus in future it will be possible to impose fines. Currently, the law about fines on those who transport cargoes, heavy cargoes, is on final stage of passage, and we believe that these measures will prevent further damaging of the road infrastructure in local communities. So these are those 4 novelties which I wanted to present. Thank you, Natalia. Thank you for your participation in our online conference. We believe that the dialogue between central executive bodies, academics, and local self-government administrations and local state administrations are important players in all this reform, and I hope that those issues will be well coordinated with the self-government bodies, and in nearest future they will be practically implemented. I have a question to you from local self-governments. Whether the decentralization of the roads is fulfilled at the territorial level. That is, in the oblast, we have regional roads which are subordinated, or which are the responsibility of the oblast government, and they pass through through the villages, through the towns, and for local municipality, it's almost impossible to explain to people why the central street, the central road, is in a very poor condition, and local authorities can do nothing to that road because it is the responsibility of regional authority, and local community has neither money nor power to do something with the road. What can I say? The decentralization process is rather tough. We all observed how in 2018, when local administrations, local municipalities started to procure for the road maintenance and road overhaul services, they faced rather different, so to say, experiences. That's why we are very cautious about transfer of the responsibility for some roads directly to the amalgamated communities. Some amalgamated communities, as of today, have enough capacity to cope with these new responsibilities, while others require intensive training and assistance to deal with a bigger responsibility like regional road. And they suggest that the process could be gradual. Today, 20% of subventions which go to the local communities could be used for the roads maintenance, and quite big majority of the local communities use these funds to maintain their municipal roads, not the regional ones, but which are on the territory of their local communities. And we hope that this could be done later when we create sufficient capacity among local communities. And as far as we observe, the proportion of current overhauls is growing. And what also is very good, that those overhauls require capital investment. It is really a profound process which will allow considerably improve the road infrastructure. The manual which we are going to introduce today to broad public, I believe is a serious document. It will become a good support for the local authorities in their efforts to maintain local roads, and we are happy that this manual could be further amended when it will require this. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your answer to the question. As to the manual, we can issue the second edition, the third edition, which will be amended and improved, and we welcome all the recommendations and feedback to be contributed into it with each further publication. What is important that this manual is useful and would become useful for the local self-government administration. And now the floor goes to the head of the State Agency of Highways of Ukraine, Ukravtodor. Ukravtodor, the state agency of highways of Ukraine, is a rather well-known organization. Whether you have any cooperation with the regions and local self-government?
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I will briefly tell you about our activity. We actively started this season. Our program is initiated by the president, by Vladimir Zelensky. The program started early because even in February we were able to start, the weather permitted. This year we are going to rebuild 500 kilometers of roads, about 400 kilometers that are on our balance. These are the roads of state importance. We involve finances to implement our ambitious plans. We have 3 sources of finances. There's the road fund, also money from under state guarantees, and also through Stockholm arbitration. So I would like to speak about it more, and I will tell you about local roads. So the network in Ukraine is about 170,000 kilometers of roads, and we manage main roads and local roads, and about 125 or 115,000 roads. These are the roads in responsibility of the communities. So in 2 or 3 years, we will be able to provide good riding in the main roads. And we are lagging behind concerning financing the roads of local importance, and we are going along our plan. I traveled to Luganshina and Zakarpatchina regions, and we have big projects there. These are the biggest projects from Severodonetsk to Stanitsa Luganska. This road is important, and there are important amalgamated communities, and they do not have another road. And also checkpoint Zolotoye, the road should also be there. And near Lysychansk, there is a road that is in communal property. And now we go along a hard way because we take it into our responsibility, and we would like to deal with it because it is difficult for these settlements to rebuild this road. And the team of the president and our team, we want to provide good riding there. And in Zakarpattia and in Lugansk Oblast, also we have a project supported by the World Bank and the European Investment Bank. This is a joint project. It has many components, about 170 kilometers of roads, and we hope that we will have a new director of the bank, and we will be able to sign a new agreement because this project is ready for implementation. In Zakarpattia, we have 370 kilometers of roads, and we plan to deal with it. And also in Uzhgorod, we are going to repair a road from Lviv to Uzhgorod. And everything is going along in accordance with the plan now. Also, there is an initiative of the Prime Minister of Ukraine. We are working on this initiative. Ukravtodor this year gets credit funding. We are working with Ukr-Eximbank and the state guarantees. The same mechanism we would like to introduce for state oblast administrations because they are lacking this opportunity in practice. At the initiative of the Prime Minister envisaged this, and about getting money for roads. You know, it is important because it provides a good economic effect for the communities, and it compensates all the interest that should be repaid. Repaired roads provide better effect than this money that is paid. So it covers the interest. My colleague from Austria, he told me that Austrian road organization, they have a debt of 12 million of euros, but they repaired all the roads already, and they will be able to repay. So they have task to repair, and then they manage the debt. So Prime Minister initiative envisages that there are state oblast administrations, and they have the opportunity on paper to get money under local guarantees. This money can be provided by Ukrainian banks, but there is a problem. In the budget code of Ukraine, it is stated that state oblast administrations may settle these debts through subsidy for repair and construction of roads. Only a small part of money may be spent, only up to 10%. Now we've prepared changes to the budget code in order that state oblast administrations be able to spend 30% what this gives. So this is the same that I've told you about Austria. Ukravtodor does this. We will increase the repair of roads, and the state oblast administrations will be able to help in repair of local roads, and together with the Prime Minister, together with the government, and together with the banks, we will work on this issue in order to decrease the interest. And Ukravtodor, we have lower rates, 10.5% without any commissions, and we hope that the rate of the National Bank will be lowered and our rate will also be lowered. So we do it now, and I understand everyone wants to have good repaired roads in all the regions, and we have plans for this year, and we hope that in 2 or 3 years the main network of Ukrainian roads will be repaired. I believe this is all from me. If you have questions, I will be glad to answer. Thank you, Alexander, for this good report. And we know that repair and construction of roads is one of the main priorities of the government, and we will continue our work in this direction. And we hope that our network will be brought to the European standards in the nearest future. A question to you. You, as a biggest customer of construction roads, what advice can you give to local bodies of governance how to provide quality of construction works, how to announce a tender, and what should be requirements to this contractor? Please, some simple advice from you. So there are two sides of the question. Ukravtodor increases qualification requirements, and the changes are introduced, and we are criticized a lot. But I believe that we have less requirements than the World Bank, and I believe that our requirements are not so high. We provide unified qualification requirements, and also the documents these requirements may be adapted. We understand that the market of subcontractors, it is not homogeneous. but there are requirements, there should be requirements to them. In Cherkasska Oblast, for example, there is some grass that appeared on the road that was built in 2019, and in Kiev, we see that the materials for the road, they cost differently in different regions. So what I see is that we are for unification of these things, and I believe that all amalgamated communities with together with proper stakeholders, they should cooperate. Maybe there should be a methodology, maybe not binding, but it would be easier to have methodological guidance. And I believe that Artem Vizugly, together with your team, together with your project, they will be able to help. I understand that for oblast administrations and for communities, this is something new. Before it was in responsibility of Ukravtodor. Now there is a process of decentralization. Some issues they were just forgotten, and we now work with the amalgamated communities, and we provide we rent these roads also to the amalgamated communities. There are roads of state importance, but there are also roads of local roads. And now we just spend additional money on them. That's why we should deal with these issues. We will consider these issues together with you, and will help you in resolution of these issues. Thank you for your answer. Thank you. Have a nice day. If you have time, stay with us. And now we are going to the oblast level. I would like to give the floor to the representative of Ivano-Frankivsk administration, and Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast State Administration is the partner of Dobre program. We have a joint memorandum, and this is the unique Obl administration that allocates money for joint projects together with local government and the Dobre program. Here we reach synergy when international organization, Oblast Council and local governance allocate money to deal with the local issues, and this is a wonderful experience. Please share your experience, how you deal with these issues. There is an issue of distribution of the road fund money, how this money is distributed among oblasts, and tell us about your positive experience. Ivasik Vasil, deputy head, and I would like to share our know-how for road fund money 2020. This will be interesting for everyone. First, I would like to start in accordance with the order of the Cabinet of Ministers from 2013. Local roads, they were transferred into responsibility of state oblast administration, and we were provided with 3,000 kilometers of roads of local importance and 813 bridges, more than 16,000 meters. And also now oblast, in accordance with the state oblast administration provision, a state enterprise was created. It is called the Roads of Prekarpatia. It gets subsidies from the budget to provide repairs and construction roads and maintenance for the roads of local importance, streets and bridges, automobile roads of local importance. They are on the balance of our state administration, and we should say that the state administration and department are guided by the strategy of development of oblast, and also we develop regional program of development for 2020-2025. Reform of decentralization. This reform of decentralization is at the end stage, and the oblast state administrations and the responsibilities from them will be provided to territorial communities, and they will deal with the local roads. And the current legislation does not provide for this transfer. State oblast administration sent the letter to the government concerning pilot projects, how to use this money for the roads, and also to direct the money from the road fund in accordance with the decision of administrations. Those village and city councils may get this money from the fund. Those who order these construction works for the roads of local importance in the framework of these communities. And these roads should be managed by the oblast state administrations. They should supervise the quality of these roads, and also oblast state administration this year provided the algorithm how to allocate the money. We elaborated a formula to distribute money of the state road fund in accordance with the length of the roads that are in the territory of the community. The formula looks like this: S, amalgamated community, S for distribution, and this is money that is directed for the need of the amalgamated community. S, this is distribution, the sum for the distribution, as and also the money for the use in the territory of the whole amalgamated community. So we created a formula, and we asked amalgamated communities to send proposals to us, and they sent these proposals, and based on their proposals, we've created this formula. In each community got the money for the repair of roads in the territory of the community. Thank you we thank for the support of the state roads that supported our idea, and this idea now is being implemented. And the heads of the amalgamated communities are thankful to us for this initiative, and I hope that this initiative will be improved and implemented into life. So this is the proposal. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for inviting us to this interesting discussion and conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is very interesting experience. And I think that your initiative could be interesting for other local communities. Well, colleagues, now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Artem Bazoglu, Director of the State Research Institute of the Road Construction. And before doing that, I would like to thank to all those who contributed to the development of the manual, which Mr. Bazoglu will present in a moment. We tried to make a simple and understandable document, which could be clear and straightforward, even for those who are not experts in construction. Unfortunately, now we have no engineers, no experts in road construction in the local self-governments and local communities, but nevertheless, those municipalities, they're responsible for road construction and maintenance, and that's why the manual is very valuable for them. I would like to thank to all those who contributed to the production of the manual, to all the experts. This was the initiative of Cost Ukraine. They carried out the expertise of the costs. National Democratic Institute from the United States, and our experts, the experts of Dobra project. And we hope that this manual will become very useful. And now I'm pleased to give the floor to Mr. Bazoglu. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and I would like to mention how happy I am to make this presentation. It's an honor for me to present the manual for the road construction and maintenance for local communities. This project, this manual became possible due to the contribution from Dobra project, and I'm very grateful to the project leaders who invited us to this initiative. I personally represent a team from the State Research Institute of Road Construction, and drafting this manual, we involved experts in many areas. Ukrainian State Research Institute of Road Construction, named after Shulgin, is a leading research institution which deals with the overhaul and maintenance of roads in Ukraine, and we contribute to development of the regulations in this area. We also deal with technical standardization, and our members are members of the 307 Standardization Committee under the Ministry of Economy, and in the Standardization Committee of 311 under the same ministry. This means that we are very closely involved into the development of standards and regulations dealing with the road construction. During the last year, we produced many standards which are needed for road construction, and also we contribute to the state target program of road construction, and if you look at the regulations which are developed by the state agency of highways in Ukraine, you may notice that Ukravtodor has very broad regulations and there is more than 3,000 different regulations and documents. Of course, it's too much even for the expert. Not to mention the members of local self-governments who are not experts in the area. So it is rather difficult for them to cope with this huge task. That's why our team tried to summarize all those numerous regulations to bring them together and produce a unified document, a unified manual in very plain language, which is practically understandable and might be of good use for the local self-governments. Our major goal is to raise capacity of local self-governments. Now I'm shifting to presentation. We hope that this manual will become a good tool, a good instrument to ensure the quality of road maintenance. So our main objectives were plain language and straightforward approach, the well structure, good structure, logical structure, the actual and freshness of information to be covered, and also frequently asked questions which are faced by members of local self-governments. All the material in this manual is structured in sections, and those sections are actually the stages in the road development, road design and construction, and thus they allow to cover all the possible issues which local administration may face when they deal with the road infrastructure. First is development of the road infrastructure in general, then procurement procedure, then Section 6, pricing in road sector, construction works and quality control, maintenance, and minimization of negative social and environmental impact. Now I will comment on each section of this manual in more detail, but before doing that, I would like to mention that we intended this manual to be used by the local self-government members, by the experts from amalgamated and local territorial communities, and all other people which are involved into the road construction. This might be useful even for those who would like to be in course of all the novelties, to be aware of all the novelties related to road maintenance. Of course, all those sections, they are more practical. So section number 1, development and assessment of the road infrastructure, covers the issue how to decide about the degree of modernization, whether it should be the just current operational maintenance or capital overhaul. Then by what means, what criteria can you assess to, can you apply to assess the situation of the road infrastructure? Of course, experts suggest that the diagnosis of the operational status of all the roads would be the best measure, but of course, it's not possible for many local communities. That's why we suggest the indicators of the operational status for each road. We suggest the scale, how to assess and practical tools, how local authority may assess the situation with the road infrastructure. Then we suggest how to develop a program for the infrastructure development at the local level for those communities which had carried out the analysis of their road infrastructure in their territorial community and understand what is needed. Section number 2, public procurement procedures. Of course, public procurement is an important aspect. The big issue is to find an efficient designer. The second step is to find an efficient subcontractors and contractors who would stack with all the technical regulations and technical conditions, and all that procedure should be based on Ukrainian legislation about public procurement. So in our manual, we took into account all the new versions of the law on public procurement, updated on April 19 this year. In this manual also we explained the difference between outsourced works and services. The difference is services. These are just maintenance services, operational services, while any capital construction deals with capital works, and this should be treated differently from the regulations point of view. Then we suggested how to shape qualificational criteria for the contractors, and now we are in the midst of discussion about bidding documentation. The Ministry of Economy has to approve the final package of model bidding documentation package, and thus we will require from contractors good proofs that they have capacity, all the necessary capacity, machinery, proper experiences, workforce, etc. In this section also you may find a reference to the main mistakes which are quite often made by local authorities when preparing bidding documentation. Section number 3, design stage. This is intended for the design experts and also for those who approve those designs. So quite often it is not so easy to decide what do you want from designer of your road. Criteria for selection of the designer. Then expertise about the category of outcomes. That is, the outcomes of the road construction are split into categories. This is now reflected in your regulations, and local authorities have to know how to deal with the application of those outcomes categories. Section number 4 is about construction materials, constructions and testing methods, which clearly determines what materials, how they are used, how they should be tested, and also this section presents major technologies which could be found in Ukraine and explains main approaches to the construction of asphalt cover and cement cover. Then in this section we tried to introduce the idea that a preference at the local level should be given to the local materials. The major component of our asphalt is bitumen, which is imported from abroad, and thus investing into road construction, you pay a lot of money for import of these rare materials. That's why we recommend to use local materials in order to substitute these heavily important components. And we also advise to use the waste from construction industry, residuals, which could be successfully become a component of Ukrainian road construction materials. Also, we devoted attention to the main technological conditions for the paved streets. our philosophy is that not only just a quality pavement is the main part of the road, but also all the services around it, how to analyze the emergency factor, how to prevent road accidents, how to deal with the passenger crossings, how to organize the traffic rules in those places where you carry out construction. Then the audit of safety for highways and roads. This is something new. This is something new, which was introduced by the law, which was passed in September last year by the Parliament. So the safety of local roads is a novelty for our local people, and they need to understand what it is. Section number 6, pricing in the road construction, and it clearly explains how to set the price of design and construction, how to monitor construction material prices. As Alexander mentioned, in different regions, price of the construction materials might be different. Quite often, asphalt and concrete mixes the basis for the pavement of highways, and the price of this mix may vary in different regions. Unfortunately, pricing is rather complicated and over-regulated process in road construction, and unfortunately we are unable to change it. Although we have an intention to simplify the system and to introduce best global practice that uses just several indicators as benchmarks. So we want to have just 3 components: the quality, the price, and the compliance with design documentation as major indicators. Section number 7, construction works and construction quality control. We all understand that the specific road design depends on the primarily diagnostics of your road, of your conditions, and here you may find the major indicators which will help you to deal with this issue. Section number 8, maintenance. Maintenance is primarily important. Here we explain what works, service works are part of the maintenance, what are major technologies of maintenance, and this is explained in much detail. Section number 9. This is a new section which was absent and omitted from the previous road maintenance manuals. These are measures to minimize negative impact on social and on society and environment. This is about green plants. This is about anti-icing measures, proper anti-icing measures. And in general, that's quite useful for the local communities. And the manual also contains appendices. This is about improvements to the local community services, and another amendment is about computer service in local communities, how you may ask people whether they are satisfied with the level of local community services. We fully agree with Natalia Farsyuk, Ms. Natalia Farsyuk from the ministry, who mentioned that this manual may require further improvements and further upgrading, so to say, modernization. I believe that this manual should be upgraded in course of new developments in this area, in the road construction and maintenance area. We encourage local communities to work together, and we are ready to provide support, technical assistance, and consultancy to local communities. We believe that this manual might be of use for local community leaders. We try to make it practical, and I'm ready to answer your questions. Thank you, Artem. Thank you, Artem, for your presentation. In my messenger, I can see a lot of questions, where to buy or how to get this manual. First of all, it is a free publication. It will be downloaded on decentralization.gov resource, and also we will put a link on it on our Facebook Dobra website, and it will be free, and you will be able to upload it free of charge very soon. I also would like to announce that currently we are waiting for consent of and approval of Dobra program for extension of this project. Perhaps we, as an extension, we will be allowed to contribute to development of some regulations related to the local road maintenance and design. I hope that we will continue cooperation with Ukravtodor, with the Research Institute of Road Construction. And now before giving the floor to the next presenter, I would like to provide the information from Ternopil Oblast, from Ternopil amalgamated community, which requests from the Ministry of Infrastructure of Ukraine to transfer some regional or national roads to the local community because they are capable to maintain them. And now our next presenter, Mr. Taras Saratinsky, who's advisor to the Prime Minister of Ukraine and the President of the National Association of Road Constructors in Ukraine. He will point out to the main problems in road construction and will provide us with the perspective of road constructors. Thank you very much for this opportunity to participate in discussion which raises a lot of important issues. I hope that local communities will raise even more questions because they have at the local level, but nevertheless there are many unified projects which are in common for many regions of Ukraine. In Ukraine we have a lot of ground roads, and they are big problem for local communities. That's why our overall goal is to create good road infrastructure in Ukraine for better communication between people. As for the roads themselves, I would like to say that at the local level, the major aspect is classification of the roads. The main issue is to structure the types of overhauls and maintenance and repair works to be done at the local level. So my advice is to classify the maintenance and repair works first for all the roads in your responsibility. I believe that today this is the biggest challenge for Ukrainian roads in general, because the approach of minor repairs, which was mainly used by our regional Ukravtodor agencies, is wrong, and we should devote more attention to the profound overhauls carried out by Central Ukravtodor agency. So my piece of advice for local authorities is decide first what you intend to repair, just minor repair, and what you want to repair profoundly as an overhaul. That is, good structuring of your repairs and overhauls is the biggest, the most important component of your infrastructure efforts. The methodology supported by road constructors is based on specific rules that should be respected in the market. It has nothing to do with monopolistic position or etc., but it deals with the quality. There are many fears among local contractors related to the passage and approval of those universal rules for the whole road construction market. Our methodology for getting a bid, for getting a contract and procurement is based on the request that the company should submit recommendations. Why recommendation or availability of recommendation should be an obstacle for good for successful participation in the tender in bidding procedure. So this availability of recommendation is one aspect. And we tried to apply the same approach about recommendations up to all the stages of from overhaul to maintenance works. Now in Ukraine, we have introduced the project in Ukraine, which is called maintenance, final outcome of the road maintenance, when the quality is assessed at the final outcome of the road maintenance, whether the road is not slippery, whether it has any pits or obstacles. So this is the good objective for us. The next important issue is issue about involvement of vocational training institutions at local level, and we encourage local communities to train experts in road maintenance at the local level. That is, introduce special vocational training in institutions like vocational training schools for road construction at the local level. And we are thinking perhaps on upgrading of labor force and retraining people for road construction. We believe as much money as possible, as much investments as possible should be spent at the local level, including labor force and materials. The next big issue is about pricing in the road construction sector. The quality assessment of the projected work of the projected materials remains important issue to prevent dumping, to prevent overestimates, etc. Any company which dumping prices and offer something at suspiciously lower price should be revealed and prevented from contacting. Another good trend is to use local construction waste materials for local road construction, like residuals of building of construction materials production. There are many aspects, and there is an impression that we have a lot of work to do, but I think that gradually we will cope with all those tasks. Thank you, Taras. I don't see any questions to you in my messenger, so with this I would like to give the floor to the head of the Association of Amalgamated Communities. We understand that perhaps the small amalgamated communities, they face major difficulties, what assistance they might require, and whether you have any positive experience.
Thank you, Maxim. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak today at this platform together with the Deputy Minister and Head of Ukravtodor. This is pleasant that small communities may express their opinion. I will briefly tell you about questions of concern. We have more than 500 now in our union. I would like to speak about the main things we would like to ask you about. Construction, repair, and maintenance of local roads and communal roads. This is the issue number one, especially when our communities are created, when territories are added, when healthcare and school district is being formed. So accessibility through the roads is important. This is also important for business. You understand that goods may be really efficient only if we have good roads, and also there should be safety. This is important for ambulances, because otherwise it will be difficult to speak about quality of health care. We do not have proper order how to provide the subsidy for roads with clear mechanism that would give us opportunity to forecast what we will have in the years to come, and to speak with our residents what roads they want to repair first. We understand that in 2 or 3 years we won't be able to repair all the roads, but we should have clear mechanism in order to understand what each community will get for the roads. So it is really of concern, the issue of legislation that up to 20% from the fund may go to the oblast, but they speak about opportunities, but I'm going to speak about trust. If we have roads, there should be clear mechanism and clear fund for these roads. And our association, we are for creation of territorial funds for the roads. Alexander Kubrakov and Natalia Farsuk, they said that the road cannot have different prices because it creates tension. There should be quality repair for the lowest price. Everything should be done through Prozoro system, but we should say that communities should have the right to have the fund and to be able to forecast the expenses for the years to come. So the decentralization provides us with some functions, for example, healthcare, education. We have base school. We want to transport teachers to the territories, and children also should be brought to schools, and it is difficult for us to deal with these issues. We ask oblast authorities, but we do not get often clear answers. In 2018, 2019, only several oblasts completed this 20%. Others had 5%, 7%, and many had less than 5% for local roads. So we should get clear answers. If local bodies are responsible for the fund, they should have this fund and they should know where money comes from. I travel a lot throughout Ukraine, and I see that near Kiev roads are repaired and near Odessa roads are repaired, but small communities, they pay taxes, and business, healthcare workers, they all pay taxes, but they do not have quality roads. And I ask you on behalf of all our stakeholders, there should be clear distribution through the formula. And the state, it should provide these responsibilities and should control the distribution of money. And there should we are for the subsidy, and we want that these roads that connect the communities to the center, all those roads in communities, they should be in the responsibility of the community. I have 4 roads that are territorial roads. They have not been repaired for many years. These are roads that lead to cities. Some of them go through the center of some cities, and citizens ask when these roads be repaired. And they say why some roads are repaired and some roads are not. We should be able to form our own healthcare and educational institutions, and we should be able also to deal with our roads and have proper responsibilities. We have filling stations, we pay taxes, but we cannot transport our residents, our children safely. And also about weight control. Consultations are held with the association, but not only our association has the status of, not only this association has the national status, our association also has the status, and often when lands belong to big agricultural enterprises, heavyweight equipment comes, they destroy roads, and they just leave. In cities, they deal better with these issues. There should be not only weight control, but also other things, and we may provide advice how to manage. And the village territories, they get less money than the cities, and infrastructure for them is critically important, because in the cities, people go to schools, to healthcare institutions, they go to one place, and it is easy for them. And in rural areas, it is difficult to transport people to healthcare institutions and other institutions. That's why, there should be proper resources in the communities, and responsibilities should be provided in order that we will be able to provide such services to our residents. And thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of smaller communities. Thank you, Alexander. We agree with you completely. And I believe that today's messages will be heard by the heads of the ministry and central bodies of executive power. We need to have such a dialogue and to hear each other. Also, one practical question to you about intermunicipal cooperation. When several communities may get united and to resolve their issues, including repair of roads. But unfortunately, this instrument may be used, but it is not widespread. We support intermunicipal cooperation, including for small communities. For them, it is difficult to repair the roads in smaller communities. Maybe if several communities are united, maybe it would be easier for them. Why intermunicipal mechanism does not work? So there should be common sense when we spend budget funds. For example, if we are speaking about school sports facilities, we have contracts, we cooperate with neighbor communities, and these mechanisms work really great. Also concerning waste management and roads, and we, together with Pomichnyansky community, we want to create a good road, construct a good road, but we lack funds in order to announce a tender, to provide a proposal. And I hope, and the direct subsidy for infrastructure now is not working. We had a project for an important road, but now this money, we were deprived of this money. I hope that this money will be returned, but as of today, this money is taken away from us, and we promised to construct a road, but we are not able to do it. Intermunicipal cooperation, this is common sense, this is proper logic. If we had such a road, our residents will be able to travel to the hub station, and it would be easier for them to travel, and there would be proper access to healthcare center. And we do not have resources to implement this project now. And this mechanism should be used. And the state should not speak about stealing by some mayors, that they steal this money, but you should just provide the funds and to check how this money is spent. And services should be unified. They should go through Prozoro system. There are many instruments for transparency, and communities should be able to use them. And this is not only about road construction, but about many other areas. And this instrument should be used in different areas. This is a great way to save and to get quality services. Thank you for your answer. And now we are going to speak with communities who are partners of Dobra program. And in the framework of our program, we help them develop the strategies for the communities and to establish priorities based on the advice of the residents of the communities. And one of the issues was the repair of the roads in the framework of IDCs. And at different stages, communities participated, and all of them have positive experience, I believe. And now I would like to give the floor to Marifianska, EDC head, and he's going to tell about the experience, how they solve these issues in the ADC. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Thank you very much, Maxim, for this opportunity to share our experience. First of all, on behalf of our community, I would like to thank Dobra project. This is a really valuable help in all the areas of cooperation. For our community, this is really huge. Thank you very much once again. Together with Dobra project, we worked on the strategy. We also included the point of roads on the priority list, and now we understand how we may deal with the roads, with the pavements, and we have our own experience in this. I will be brief. We've created at our Department of Development non-profit work for development of our community, for support of the roads and pavements, for current repairs. And we've created a department, a sector of the roadworks. And I have 2 brigades in this sector. We provided materials, tools, machinery, and due to Dobra project, we got a super freight car with special equipment for roads. This is a very nice vehicle that we use now for our roads. This was great help for us. This is a great help for us now. So what we do, we buy materials. In our budget, we have money for buying these materials, and we maintain our roads and trottoirs. And last year we had such experience. In 2019, we started it, and we repaired roads. We had capital repairs of trottoirs, and we also repaired some roads in mountainous area. We buy some materials, and we do not allow big amounts of water to flood, and we install proper equipment in order to prevent this flooding on roads. We didn't buy asphalt vehicle, but we rent it. We pay for this and do the work. In accordance with our calculations, even if we rent some equipment, our savings, our efficiency is 2 times higher than if we did this work through the subcontractor. So this is big saving for us. Why we've created that is why we've created 2 brigades. Alexander Kalinov mentioned this issue. He is the head of our association, and I had the platform of safety and security concerning the roads. We've sent to the ministry and to legislators our proposals, and Alexander stressed that the roads of general use that are in the framework of the ATCs, they should be transferred to the balance of the ATCs. This is really important because as of today, no one takes proper care of them and they deteriorate. One more aspect I would like to stress. Taking into account our experience, we repair and maintain our roads. About road fund. The road fund will be based on excise tax and patrol, and it is planned through, in accordance with the budget code. It should go to the special fund, and there is a problem. In our case, this will be a problem because we will be able to provide some documents concerning repair and construction works. We buy materials now and we support roads, and we won't be able to work through the scheme. We will lack our own resources. That's why there is an aspect in the budget code. I would recommend to the Ministry of Infrastructure to pay attention to this issue and to the Ministry of Finance. Once again, we addressed them, and they should make corrections. This money should go to the general fund with the special purpose to support roads and pavements. This is really important, and if someone wants to transfer them to the special fund, this is done easily. And from the special fund, we won't be able to transfer money to the general fund. This is an important issue. One important issue. The law on the road fund, it says that there is an opportunity, is planned to allocate the money for financing of roads of state importance, state roads. So in our community, we have 10 kilometers of state road, and Oblast administration, they will say that we should allocate money in the framework of our community to provide financing to repair these roads, and this will be like a blackmail. I will warn against it, and we won't be able to deal with our communal roads because of this. And I support Alexander Karin in this. The main aspect will be resources. ATCs won't be able to repair roads without additional resources, without additional taxes. I may list a number of possible taxes. We submitted our proposals through the association. That's why this is a very important resource. Additional proceeds are needed. If there is no transparent mechanism of the road fund that is now being discussed, someone said that it is up to 10%. Now we are speaking about up to 20%, but this is not correct. This should be 20% and up, because we got responsibilities concerning roads. This should be 25% plus, and there should be clear mechanism for the state subsidy. This is a very important aspect. And about international financial organizations that also will help. Small cities won't be able to use this opportunity, and Natalia Farsyuk clearly told about it. This is about the mid-sized and the big cities. Small cities won't be able to use this instrument. And they are not so big. Not many ADCs are so capable to do this. So we should think through the mechanism in order to support the roads. I have 165 kilometers of roads and communal property, and you should understand what money I should get in order to support them, not just to maintain them, but to provide good roads, what we are trying to do today. Thank you for your attention. I'm ready for the questions. If you are interested, we are ready to share our experience.
Thank you. Thank you. You really have interesting experience. The cost of 1 square kilometer of asphalt in your territorial community. We'll try to find it quickly in a moment, but I will explain. We procure all the construction materials ourselves. Last year, we finalized our procurement bidding and managed to get asphalt 30% cheaper. So the answer to your question, 400 hryvnia of square kilometer. Thank you very much. Remain with us, stay with us. And now I would like to give the floor to one of those unique communities, territorial communities, although all of them are unique. But now we are going to Mr. Dmytro Ivanyuk from Biloberiska. Territorial community in Ivano-Frankivsk region. The specificity is that this local community is in the mountains. How do you resolve the issues with roads in the mountains, in the hilly landscape? Thank you very much for this opportunity. I would say a couple of words about our community. We are in Carpathian Mountains, Verkhovina district. We are a small community. 2,745 people. We are amalgamated community of 4 villages, but we have a lot of municipal roads. We have some oblast level roads. We have some national roads on the territory of our local community. We have 7% of the national roads, 7% of regional roads, and 84% of municipal roads up to 5,000 kilometers over sea level. We cannot put asphalt on our roads. We can only have gravel on the cover on them, gravel surface on them, and we are very grateful to Dobra program which allowed us to develop the plan for our community development, and in that number, the program for road maintenance. Actually, that was the top priority for us, because our local roads a crucial element for our tourist sector development, and without that tourism development, our local community cannot develop. That's why we started to work on the road maintenance. We established a special enterprise, Biloborisky enterprise. We have we have just started. We have made only 2 kilometers of the of roads, but that allowed to feel that we are capable to use local subcontractors and local materials, that we can mobilize local resources and thus invest and save up to 370,000 hryvnia for our local community in our region. As our regional head of state administration had already mentioned, that although we are not subject to subsidies from the National Roads Fund, but nevertheless, the oblast level leaders allocated some money for the roads maintenance in our villages. I am happy to use this opportunity of the conference and to mention that the price of all the costs of all the materials and cost of all the works in our mountain area is a bit more expensive than in mainland Ukraine. And also I would like to draw attention to the seasonal floods of our local rivers, and in springtime we have to clear the banks of the river from gravel, from stones, and those stones might be used at the local level for road construction. By the way, that clearance works in the river is rather expensive, and in general, transportation of any construction materials in the mountain area is more expensive than in the valleys. That is, for example, the cost of material may be 2,000 hryvnia, while transportation of the same construction materials to the site in the mountains may cost 3 times higher. In Cheremosha River, the last clearance was made in 1960s, and since that time, not much was done. And we should think about safety of our villages and to do cleaning of this river more often. Thank you, Dmitry. In your complicated natural conditions, you try to satisfy the needs of your local people and try to match the needs. And now I suggest to go from the west of Ukraine, from the mountain area, to the south of Ukraine. Now, I have a question. There are big agro firms which work on the territory of our territorial community. They use heavy trucks, and while we are not subject of payment of local excise duty to the road fund. So now I am pleased to introduce the head of the Buzka amalgamated community in Mykolaiv region, Mr. Yuri Zavoloka. Can you hear me? Good afternoon. In late 2016, our community amalgamated. We have about 42 kilometers of roads. Half of those roads are asphalt roads, and half of them are ground roads or pressed sand roads. From the very beginning, we paid attention on the road infrastructure, because actually any member of our community has either a bicycle or a car, and to get from one point to another. So we started from the review of the roads. We understood that some roads required overhaul, some of them required minor repairs of smaller pits, and some of land roads required better coverage, better surfaces. So we started to work later on. We found out that Dobra program might provide some assistance, brought some partners to us, and we understood that we have to increase safety of transportation. Once having made the overhaul of one road in a village, and then all the cars started to move very quickly at a high speed through that village, and that brought us to the idea that we have to do not just the overhaul or repair of a road, but we have to think about safety on the road. And this had brought us to the idea about special road signs, about road regulations, about installation of passenger crossings, and even of road lights. And I believe that very soon you will see all those novelties and results of our work on the website of Dobra program. We have insufficient funds for a capital overhaul of all the roads, but we carefully choose the pieces of roads which are of big importance, which could be repaired and increase efficiency of throughput. We also use the financial resources of oblast level, community level, and even national level. We are always ready to submit good rationale for funding of the project. If you do not have, we have found out that if you do not have money, you may prepare design and budget estimates for needed improvements of your roads, and then submit this project for joint funding of the municipal, regional, and national funds. We devote much attention to maintenance of roads. That is, we remove snow, ice, and other weather maintenance. It's very interesting what what we have heard about weighing points on the roads. Some trucks which come to the sand mines in our region, they we believe that they might be too heavy for our roads. We would like to weigh them, and we would like to impose perhaps fines on them. That's why we are very interested to know how those fines that will be imposed on the over heavy trucks, over heavy lorries, how they will be paid, where that money will go, and whether local communities will be able to use that money and repair their own roads. And about the regional or national roads, which we cannot accept as our permanent responsibility. We have found out that in many cases this could be cooperation between our self-government, community administration, and regional administration. We might take responsibility for minor repair, not for overhaul of the regional road. But in this case, we would request for rationale from the oblast level, allowing us, giving us a permission to use our municipal money for oblast level road. So my message is that we need to have a good regulation with which to comply. Otherwise, we might be blamed that we misuse the local money. So the roads remain our primary care, and despite scarce money, we try to ensure proper infrastructure in our local communities. Thank you, Yuri. You have interesting experience in our your Buzka community. Thank you to all the participants. We have heard many interesting lessons. It was a good experience for us. Quite often we all benefit from the networking, from real communication, but this time due to the circumstances, we have to communicate via online streaming, and I would like to thank to all the participants, to all those who remained with us during these hours. We have been working a bit more than 2 hours, but that's not enough to cover all the issues related to the road construction and maintenance. We feel that there is a demand from the process stakeholders, and this will stimulate us to work further. The government will play its role and make decisions. Oblast administrations and community self-governments will also act in line with their part. We tried to start this exchange of opinions and bring all the stakeholders together and find consensus which would allow them, that is stakeholders, to move forward for the sake of all Ukrainian people. The issue of the roads remains one of the most topical for Ukrainians, and I wish you good health, and I hope that we will overcome these current conditions of quarantine. We will survive through it and start to implement all those plans that we coordinated with our people. You have the link to the to our manual underneath our post on Facebook, and we will be happy to get a feedback from you. What topics you would like to be covered by our project, how we can assist you. Today's situation in Ukraine is not easy, but staying and working on our place, we will successfully cope with all our tasks. So till next meetings, see you next time. Thank you.